This video was designed to help with any confusion about object-oriented programming. In my object-oriented programming video, the video right before this, I kind of went a bit too fast and went straight into talking about inheritance and abstract classes. And in order to understand those two concepts, we must fully understand what a class is, how to define a class, and objects from the class. So here I have an employee class. So the employee will have three attributes to it. They will have a name, an age, and an ID. If we want to make an instance of this class, this is known as an object, and we can create specific employee objects. Here I have an employee object called Dave. His name is Dave. His age is 24 and his ID is 10091. Now, we can make this more general, and inside of the constructor, which is pretty much a placeholder for all the different variables or instance variables that are made inside of the class, we can refer to the class itself with the keyword this, and then followed by the variable name, which is equal to the variable name itself. So if we want to create an object, we will make the object inside of main. So main will hold all the instances of the object. We'll pass in all the values inside of the parameters when we declare the object. That may seem a bit confusing at first, but you will understand this when we go over an example. So we're going to take everything that we learned here and apply it to an example in Java. Let's begin. I have Eclipse open. So let's go ahead and make another class, and we're going to name this employee, and we're going to hit finish. So employee will have a constructor. So whenever we make a class, it will contain a constructor. Every single class has a constructor. So like I said before, a constructor is a placeholder for all the variables. So when we create the object of the class, it's going to contain all those different variables. So when we make a constructor, it has to have the same name as the class. So let's go ahead and create this constructor. So in this constructor, we're going to, well, first of all, we're going to declare some instance variables. So like I mentioned before, the employee will have a name, which is of course a string, an age, which is an int, and ID, which is also an integer. So inside of the constructor's parameters, we're going to pass in these values right here. So we're going to write string name, int age, and int ID. Now, we use the word this, or we use the keyword this, when we're referring to the employee itself, so the class itself. So we're going to write this dot name is equal to name, this dot age is equal to age, and this dot ID is equal to ID. So basically, all this is doing is it's setting the name equivalent to the name. So now when we make the object or the instance of the class, it's going to contain these three values. So now, inside our class, we can make class-specific methods, and this just adds functionality to the program. Let's say we want to print out every single piece of information about the employee. Let's make a method that does this. So we will have public void get info, and this will just simply print out the name, and we're going to do that for every piece of information that we have. So age, and then ID, which is, of course, the ID. So if we want to make an employee, how would we do it? So we're going to go into the main class. So let's go ahead and make an object of the class. So an employee object. So what we do is we first write the name of the class, and then we give it a name. Let's say, for example, we want an employee called David, and that's equal to new employee. So here we have an issue. What exactly is the problem? Well, we didn't pass any values into the employee class. So remember, when we made this constructor, it expects us to put in these 3 values. And since we don't have anything in the parameters here, Java is confused. And so here it says add arguments to match employees string, int, and int. So remember the 3 data types. We have string, int, and int. And that's exactly what we have to put when we're putting in the parameters. So his name is David. He is 25 years old, and his ID is 10875. Now, once we make this object of the employee class, we can now access age, ID, name, and get info. And remember, get info is what we wrote right here. So let's go ahead and call that. So get info. Let's see what this prints up. So as you can see, it says name as David, age is 25, and ID is 10875. We can make a million different employees. All we have to do is just change up the variable name and change up the parameters. And that's the benefit of object-oriented programming. It's a better way of programming. It adds a lot more functionality, it keeps everything super organized, and it intuitively makes sense. And so you can make several classes, create several objects of the classes, and just add so much more functionality to your program. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this cleared up any confusion, and if you guys still are confused about anything, please let me know below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Please leave a like, and I will see you in the next tutorial.